Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reasons to visit Berlin in 2021. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we'll be looking at some of the most compelling arguments as to why Berlin should be on your 2021 travel bucket list. Number 10. Green space. Berlin is a city of architectural marvels and feats of engineering. It really lives up to its reputation as a European capital of culture. What often gets overlooked when talking about Berlin's many selling points, however, is the green space. The city encompasses over 2,500 parks and protected areas, ensuring that when you need a place to sit down, relax, and take a break from exploring Berlin, you needn't look long or hard to find a park bench. Tiergarten or Britzergarten are two of the most popular parks in the city, but there are plenty of small, unassuming parks that can serve as an oasis of calm. To really immerse yourself in nature, head to Naturpark Marienfelde, 40 hectares of land that's home to a wide assortment of wildlife. From public spaces to its city management, Berlin is green through and through. Number 9. World War II and Cold War history. Nowadays, Berlin is a city defined by its sense of freedom, but it has only managed to move forward and become the shining example it is today by acknowledging its dark past. Reminders of World War II and the incomprehensible loss of human life are a very real part of Berlin's identity. One of the most sobering attractions is the Berlin Holocaust Memorial, a concrete maze that never fails to provoke reflection. The Bebelplatz book-burning square and the Topography of Terror Indoor-Outdoor Museum both serve as important tributes in their own rights, alongside numerous other monuments. After World War II, Berlin was a city divided, and various testaments to the Cold War stand in the form of the Berlin Wall, Checkpoint Charlie, Tiergarten, and Treptower-Park. Whether you're a history buff or not, Berlin's past is always relevant. Number 8. Museums. Berlin is home to an estimated 170 to 180 museums. For a city with a population of under 4 million people, that's a pretty impressive ratio. You can't realistically visit them all, so it's worth doing your research ahead of time to cross-reference the options against your personal interests. That being said, you can't go wrong with Museum Island. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, Museum Island sits in the historic heart of the city. The museums, which include the Altes, Neues, Alte Nationalgalerie, the Pergamon Museum, and the Bode Museum, were planned and built by 5 different architects by order of the Prussian monarchy. The art and artifacts contained within are fascinating, but Museum Island as a whole is also an attraction in its own right. Some of the city's other most celebrated museums and galleries include the DDR Museum, the Natural History Museum, and the Berlinische Galerie. Number 7. Street art. Berlin has some great museums, but one needn't go indoors to appreciate all the art the city has to offer. Berlin boasts one of the most inspired and active graffiti scenes in all of Europe. The open-air East Side Gallery showcases some of the city's greatest talents, with a portion of the Berlin Wall actually serving as a canvas. But the nature of street art is such that it can't be contained. And sure enough, beautiful, odd, and unique works of art can be found on walls all across the city. Street art will inevitably be part of your experience in Berlin, even if you don't seek it out. It's every bit as much a part of the city's identity as the Reichstag. But for those with a passion for street art, there are a number of local tours that will take you to some of the coolest and most popular graffiti spots. Number 6. Food. Germany as a nation has got some great grub to its name. While there's a lot of regional variation to discover if you have the time for a cross-country trip, Berlin is the perfect place to sample some of the nation's most iconic dishes. Spätzle, Schnitzel, Bratwurst, Eisbein, these are just a few of the German classics that you'll want to try during your time in Berlin. Thanks to its large immigrant population, however, a number of other dishes have become staples of the local food scene, like Döner Kebab. There's even a weekend Thai food market. Currywurst, another must-try and point of great pride amongst Berliners, was said to be invented in the city during World War II. As local legend goes, a woman named Herta Heuwe invented the dish using ingredients she got from British soldiers. Being a modern cosmopolitan city, Berlin's food scene is ever evolving. Number 5. Day trips. There's enough to do in Berlin proper to keep you busy for weeks. But if you're somebody who likes to squeeze in as much variety into every trip as possible, know that Berlin is a great choice. Being a major cultural and economic hub, the German capital is extremely well connected to neighboring cities like Dresden and Leipzig. Wannsee is widely regarded as one of the best inland beach destinations around, while Saxon-Switzerland National Park looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. Müggelsee and Krummelanke are both solid options for those in need of a bit of peace and tranquility. Potsdam, a neighboring city and popular day trip amongst locals, is only about 30 minutes away and has a number of beautiful and historic sites. Really, the worthwhile day trips from Berlin are too many to mention. Number 4. All things beer. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Germany? This far into the video, you might be a little biased, but had we asked you earlier, chances are that beer would have been pretty high on your list of responses. While the country's biggest Oktoberfest celebration is in Munich, Berlin still does quite well for itself when it comes to the sudsy stuff. Germany as a whole, after all, is among the cultures that have put in the most time refining the art of beer making. And the country is third only to Austria and the Czech Republic in terms of beer drinking per capita. Here in Berlin, you'll find plenty of traditional beer gardens, but the city has also distinguished itself as one of Europe's most exciting hubs for craft brewing. You'll try a wide assortment of classic styles, like Weizenbier, Hefeweizen, Helles, and Kölsch. But there are also plenty of more unconventional brews on tap. Number 3. Nightlife. For decades now, Berlin has long held a reputation for being one of the biggest party cities in Europe. This party, however, shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. In the 80s and 90s, Berlin was the beating heart of electronic dance music, or techno. The raves that took place here in old warehouses and bunkers became the stuff of legend. While the counterculture has largely been brought into the mainstream now, Berliners continue to party just as hard as ever. Contemporary techno clubs in Berlin don't have a government-mandated closing time, meaning that the party doesn't stop until you decide. Berlin is also a city renowned the world over for being open-minded. There is a party for every kind of traveler. Number 2. Awe-inspiring architecture. Calling Berlin beautiful is an understatement. When it comes to architecture, it's simply too diverse for any of the conventional adjectives one typically throws around when describing a city with a skyline that stands out. Despite being hit with nearly 70,000 tons worth of bombs in World War II, a lot of pre-war architecture survives to this day. In the decades since the reunification of Berlin in 1990, the new construction has by and large been experimental and forward-thinking, putting Berlin on the modern architectural map. Prussia, the German Empire, the Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany, East Germany, one thing that all of the governments from throughout German history seem to have in common is that architecture was a big priority. Marie Elisabeth Lüders House, the Reichstag, Ludwig Erhard House, the Jewish Museum. These are just a few of the buildings that stand out in Berlin. Number 1. Because there's always something happening. What should you do with your time in Berlin? Well, that really depends on when you're visiting and what your interests are. What can be said with certainty, however, is that no matter what time of year you choose to visit, you will never be bored. Germans might be known for their efficiency and work ethic, but they've also got a good handle on work-life balance, and their busy calendar of events is a testament to the fact that they take leisure time seriously. Over the Christmas holiday, Berlin is transformed into a winter wonderland. During the hot summer months, the city hosts an assortment of music, food, and cultural festivals. It might not be Munich, but Berlin's Oktoberfest is still well worth checking out. Berliners are a cool, trendy bunch, and every weekend there are scores of little pop-up events proving as much. Then there are the markets to explore, like Mauerpark, Markthalle 9, and Boxhagener Platz. From the Karneval der Kulturen, which celebrated diversity, to Berlin Art Week and the annual Jazz Fest, this city never disappoints. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Mojo Travels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.